Hey guys, welcome to the sixth episode of my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking about what social rest means, something that is very relevant to working from home and being able to set up boundaries between your leisure, personal life, and your work life. Now, I know when you think about taking a break or being able to rest between work or anything that keeps you busy, we mostly think about two main types of rest. And the first one is physical rest, and the second one is mental rest. But the other day I watched a TED Talk and I realized that there was actually 7 different types of way that you should rest. But the one that really stood out to me was social rest. And I feel like that's something that we tend to overlook and not pay attention too much about it. And we really just focus on that physical and that mental rest. So today we're going to go into a little bit detail of what we can do together to try to improve ourselves and really make sure that we get that social rest. So when you're taking a social rest, it doesn't mean going to watch Netflix, going to scroll through your Instagram and TikTok for hours, and going to go watch a YouTube video. When I mean social rest, it literally means that you gotta unplug and just stay away from everything social related. Okay, now before we jump into it, I wanted to ask a few questions. Let's see if any of these apply to you, and if they do, you should definitely keep watching. So the first one that I know a lot of you are guilty of is, are you eating lunch in front of your computer during work and not taking your proper lunch break? The second one is, when you're off work or when you're on your break, do you find yourself going to check emails just because your computer is in the middle of your living room? And when that notification comes on, you can't help but to go check who's emailed you. You find yourself just going down a rabbit hole and start doing work that you never planned to do. Or for those who are working in social media, once you make a post, are you constantly going back to check to see how many likes you got, how many comments you got, how many sales you got? And the last one, which I know that definitely a lot of us are guilty of, is when you're not looking at your phone, you get that anxious feeling of wondering what's going on. Like, did somebody message you? Did somebody call you and you missed that call? How many people, like, how is the performance on my post right now? And you just, you really want to go and find out, and you can't help but to just flip over your phone to see if somebody sent you a message or how many notifications you have. What if somebody from work sent you an email? All of those things. So if any of these things apply to you, even one of them, make sure you keep watching. So I'm gonna admit, I'm 1000% addicted to my phone. And of all the things that I just listed, I've definitely been guilty of every single one of them at least once in my life. So when I realized that I was guilty of doing so many of these things, I started to take the steps so that I can start making more positive changes in my life that will set boundaries between my work and my personal life. And I completely understand right now, because of COVID, most people are working from home. And it's so hard to really make that clear difference between work from home, because right now your workplace is your home and then your home is your workplace. So what are some of the boundaries that we need to make in order to really make that clear and you're getting that social rest that you need to keep yourself healthy and happy? So what are the steps that you need to take in order to set up a healthy boundary between your work and your personal life? Well, here is what I suggest. So for me, when I really started to notice these bad habits I had of just, constantly being on my phone or always checking my computer to see if I got any emails, if there's any emergencies, and just worrying about it all the time, I realized that the most important thing that I really needed to do was to just unplug. It's as easy as that. Or it sounds easy, but it's actually a lot more difficult than you can imagine. Because like me, most of us, even if we didn't want to admit it, we are addicted to our devices. And most of what we do is surrounded around our phone and our computers. In order to set up that boundary, it's best to just unplug and substitute what you would use from your phone and your laptop from another physical object or whatever you choose to do. Basically, conditioning your mind to find a replacement. Most of us tend to use a digital version of a lot of things now. So if you're drawing, you're reading, people are starting to do a lot more reading on their iPads and also doing their drawings on iPads as well. And so my recommendation is go back to the traditional way. So if you want to read a physical book. If you want to draw, use an actual piece of paper to draw on with your pens, your pencils, your paintbrushes, whatever you choose to use. And the reason why is not because it's not good to use a tablet to do these things, but simply because when you're on your tablet, you're going to get distracted. So even though you're like, okay, for the next 2 hours, I'm going to go on my iPad to create this masterpiece. But then while you're on your tablet, you also get a notification from your Instagram account. You get a notification from your work email. And then that 2 hours of work that you've committed to do might turn into an hour or half an hour. And each time that, you get distracted from that, the work that you do is not going to be as productive as you planned for it to be as well. You're not really taking that social break that you committed to in the first place. And especially same thing with reading as well. When you're reading a physical book, there are no distractions. Like when you're on your iPad, you're not going to be getting any notifications. The next thing I always hear people make excuses is, I can't unplug because I have my alarm set on it or I have my calendar on it. Well, you know what I'm gonna say now. Get a real clock, get an actual alarm clock, or get an actual physical calendar that you can put up on your wall. There's so many different alternatives that we can do, but most of the time we decide that we want to make these excuses and just fully rely on your phone. And for me, okay, well, I'll admit I didn't actually go and get a old alarm clock. I actually got an Alexa, but I got the one with a screen so that I didn't have to check my phone whenever I wanted to know the time. I could just look at my Alexa and it'll tell me what time it is, or you can ask as well. But having that hands-free option of your Alexa, at least you won't be going to check your notifications from that. And then because we're consuming so much screen time, lots of people aren't able to sleep and get the proper rest that they need, because it has been scientifically proven when you're on your phone before you go to bed, you don't tend to get as much deep sleep as you would before you go to bed. So my recommendation is always, just unplug before you go to sleep, maybe 30 to 60 minutes before. If that's really challenging for you in the beginning, maybe start by using 10 minutes. Like before you go to sleep, go wash your face, brush your teeth. That should take up about 10 minutes. And then once you're done, just don't look at your phone before you go to bed. It was definitely a lot more difficult than I thought it would be. But after a few days, after a few weeks, I felt so much better. You feel so much better just not having that constant thought running at the back of your head, thinking about your notifications and thinking about your emails, your messages. Just being able to get away from that is really going to help you get the social rest that you need. And I promise you, once you start getting that social rest, you're going to feel so much better in many ways. Firstly, you'll realize that you're going to sleep a lot better, because before you go to bed, if you're not looking at your phone, you're not thinking about those things. Not only will you be able to fall asleep faster because you're not thinking about all those things, you're going to be able to go into a deeper sleep as well. And when you sleep better, your days will be so much easier because you're not feeling groggy, you're not feeling unrested, and you'll be able to be a lot more productive in your day as well. So this is going to be a lot more challenging for those people who are freelancers or people who have your own business. And I completely understand that, because I know that sometimes when you work in social media, it feels like it's a 24-hour job. So I know at 5 o'clock, you're not going to be able to just completely unplug, but in those situations, you need to be able to set aside time. And when you're speaking to your clients, you need to set expectations in the beginning to let them know, I will check emails until 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, whatever time. If you sleep later in the night, you can set it until later. But make sure that you're also scheduling enough time for yourself to take these breaks. So if you're not setting up these expectations with the client, you're definitely going to overwork yourself, because you're not telling them that you need to take these breaks, so they don't know. They might be sending you emails at 11 o'clock or at midnight asking you about progress or how something's doing or any other types of questions. And these might not necessarily be their fault, because you didn't set up the proper expectations with them in the beginning. So they're just going to assume that you're okay with it. And so to prevent yourself from, burning out and feeling like they're always contacting you at inappropriate times, then you need to let them know in the beginning. If they're a client that's not going to be respecting your time, then that needs to be one of the things that you need to look out for when you're signing on clients, because as much as you want to have a client that's going to be paying you and giving you business, you also want to find a client that's going to be respectful of you and your time. And again, you don't have to do every single one of them. Start off with one, and start off with making changes 5-10 minutes at a time. Of course, I'm super grateful to have access to something like social media right now, where we get to promote ourselves, being able to work at the comfort of our own home. But this is something that changed very quickly in 2020. People who were so used to working in an office started working from home, and there weren't proper guidelines to teach you how to set these boundaries. So I hope this video helped you. And let me know if you agree with any of these things. Are you guilty of any of those things that I said in the beginning? And if you are, let me know which ones apply to you and if there's anything else that I'm missing. Thanks guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed it and found it helpful, make sure to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I'll post up a new video every week. Thank you, bye!